Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. Powerful storms slam central Texas with devastating winds and flash floods. 1 dead and millions of Americans across the South in the danger zone tonight. Rob Marciano with the timing and track. Also developing tonight, final boarding calls. Spirit Airlines prepares to shut down as soon as Saturday. Hundreds of flights could be canceled within hours. What flyers need to know. Fog of war. President Trump says hostilities with Iran have terminated, but thousands of U.S. troops are still in the region. And the new video tonight, the man accused of trying to assassinate President Trump appearing to case the hotel 24 hours before the alleged attack. And what this police dog may have noticed before anyone else. And the murder of 2 students at the University of South Florida. What the suspect allegedly asked ChatGPT before the killings. And our CBS town hall today with all 4 Artemis II astronauts. What they did to surprise 5-year-old Space Commander Jack. And Steve Hartman on the road with a bumper crop of kindness.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Good evening. The major flood alerts as we come on the air. About 14 million Americans across the South under threat as severe weather stretches from New Mexico to Louisiana. Some of the worst of it in Texas, parts of which have seen deadly flooding, torrential rain, and hurricane-force winds clocked at nearly 120 miles an hour. Meteorologist Rob Marciano tracking it all.
Fierce winds and pounding rain pummeled the town of Point Comfort, Texas today. The latest round of extreme weather sweeping through the state. The storms unleashing flash floods near San Antonio. At least 1 death reported, as police say a man was swept away in the water. Roads throughout Texas, Bexar County underwater. This while North Texas continues to deal with destructive tornadoes. This newly released video shows one moving through mineral wells this week. In the aftermath, at least 80 homes and 30 businesses destroyed. Peak winds here reach 145 miles per hour. Winds over 100 miles an hour, even without tornadoes today, across the upper Texas coastline, which is where most of the action is right now with that flash flooding rain. Take a look at it on the radar with that storm report, just really eye-popping and obviously doing damage there on top of all the rain that they see, which they need, but not all at one time. So here we go. Flood watches remain up for that part of Texas in through Louisiana through tonight. You can see rounds of rain, and some of those will bubble up to be severe thunderstorms with heavier rain and claps of thunder from New Orleans to Tallahassee, all the way to Jacksonville, getting some much-needed rain to some of those really, really dry spots, including all the way to South Florida. So on top of what we've already seen across Texas, we'll see another couple of inches there, and then 2 to 4 inches from southern Alabama through southern Georgia, and hopefully getting into some of those fire zones. We'll take anything we can get there. All right, a little lighter note here for Churchill Downs. Tomorrow, the Kentucky Derby, for the first time, I think, in a while, will be on the dry side with seasonal temperatures and looks like partly to mostly sunny skies. Tony?
All right, Rob, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to what may be the final boarding call for Spirit Airlines. It's a budget option for travel to some 40 cities and an employer to thousands of people. Senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve joins us with the latest. All right, Chris, what happened to Spirit and what does it mean?
Well, Tony, Spirit's essentially run out of money. Barring some last-ditch 11th-hour intervention, Spirit could be forced to cease operations as soon as 3 a.m. tomorrow morning.
After days of warning, Spirit Airlines was running on financial fumes, stung by surging jet fuel prices. The already struggling and bankrupt carrier is now planning to stop flying as soon as Saturday. Spirit flights are operating today, with flyers showing up to the airline's home base in Fort Lauderdale, learning they may be among the last people to board a Spirit plane.
I guess we'll be stuck in Atlanta.
I live in Atlantic City, and we have no other airlines flying back and forth to Florida.
At President Trump's urging, the federal government offered a $500 million bailout. But the airline's bondholders balked at the undisclosed terms. Talks then stalled as Spirit burned through cash. The president to our Ed O'Keefe this afternoon.
I'd like to save the jobs, but we'll have an announcement sometime today. We gave them a final proposal.
Spirit has about 7,500 direct employees. Dozens of former Spirit planes are parked in the Arizona desert, the result of cuts the airline made trying to stay afloat.
Losing a low-fare airline is never good.
Airline industry analyst Henry Hartevelt.
Without Spirit, there's just that much less price competition, and even the budget airlines are probably going to try to raise fares.
For the Atlantic City airport, losing Spirit means losing the vast majority of its daily flights. We talked to airport director Tim Kroll earlier this year.
If Spirit were to shut down, what would be the impact here?
Enormous in terms of jobs, the concessions, the ground handlers at the airport. Obviously, they would lose those jobs, and the impact just to the local community.
And the potential of tens of thousands of flyers stranded if the airline ceases to operate as soon as tomorrow. Now, Spirit is not officially commenting other than to say the airline is operating normally today. We understand their focus is very much on safely operating those flights. Tony.
We'll keep an eye on it. But, Chris, you cover all kinds of transportation for us, and you spoke exclusively with Ford CEO Jim Farley as the company announces discounts on most of its new vehicles. What did you learn?
Yeah, Tony, they're marketing this as basically trying to help the American worker around America's 250th anniversary. But it goes to a larger affordability question hovering around Detroit. Right now, the average vehicle costs about $50,000. The average car payment for 1/5 of the country is $1,000 or more. We simply asked Mr. Farley if there was an affordability problem in Detroit.
We need to do a great job as a brand and as an industry to make our vehicles more affordable. We are going to offer more choice in those kind of price points, around 40,000, less than 40,000. The trick is to make them in America. And to do that, we need, affordable parts from around the world.
Today, President Trump posted on Truth Social that he was going to add a 25% tariff on European-made vehicles, saying the EU is not fully complying with the trade deal. Farley declined to comment on that specifically, but said he believes the focus needs to be on Chinese automakers and their ability to mass produce very inexpensive vehicles. Tony.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. The war with Iran is over, or so says President Trump. But hold on a minute, you may be thinking the U.S. military is still patrolling the region, still blockading the Strait of Hormuz, still standing ready to blast the hell out of them, as the president put it today. And there is still no peace deal. So what's the story? Senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is at the White House.
More than 50,000 U.S. military personnel remain deployed across the Middle East, and a naval blockade is crippling the Iranian economy. But in a letter today, President Trump told lawmakers the hostilities that began in late February have terminated. But later in the day in Florida, he said,
"We're in a war because I think you would agree we cannot let lunatics have a nuclear weapon."
Stand by for work. Today marks 60 days of military action against Iran. Under the War Powers Act, Congress must vote to authorize operations, or the president has to seek a 30-day waiver, which he hasn't done.
Most people consider it totally unconstitutional. Also, we had a ceasefire, so that gives you additional time.
But Democrats disagree. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer weighed in with an expletive, as do some Republicans.
The president should have come to Congress before engaging in military action at this scale that we're seeing now, and that regrettably did not happen.
Peace talks remained at a standstill after the president immediately rejected Iran's latest proposal for a second round of direct talks. Neither side shared details of what was in the plan.
What did you get from Iran?
So we're dealing with Iran. As you know, it's a very disjointed, unfriendly leadership, unfriendly to each other. They're not getting along. They're very, very confused by what's happened because essentially most of their military has been wiped out.
The president said negotiations would continue by phone.
And let's see what happens, but I would say that I am not happy.
Also tonight, the Pentagon's planning to withdraw about 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany. Senior defense officials tell CBS News the decision is a signal of the president's discontent with the lack of help European allies like Germany have offered. With the war in Iran, there are nearly 50,000 military and civilian Defense Department personnel based in Germany as of December. Tony?
All right, Ed, thank you very much. After multiple stabbings yesterday at a high school in Tacoma, Washington, a student is facing multiple assault charges. And there's video today. Investigators say at some point in this fight, the suspect pulled a knife. 5 students wounded, including the suspect. And they believe it all started over a stolen vape pen. This time last Friday, according to investigators, a gunman was inside the D.C. Hilton waiting for his chance to assassinate President Trump and members of his cabinet. And now, new video offers the clearest view yet of what happened just before the attack. Here's Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga.
New video release shows suspect Cole Allen calmly walking down the hotel hallway, allegedly casing the area just 24 hours before his attack. The next night, just 13 minutes before the incident, the 31-year-old suspect is seen pacing down that same hallway in a trench coat.
You notice his right arm is very stiff.
He's hiding something. He's holding something tight to his body.
Keith Wojcicki is a former Secret Service agent with the Presidential Protective Division.
And seeing that, maybe should have set up flares outside of the Hilton. There are reconnaissance people out there.
Cameras positioned inside of the hotel gym captured the suspect exiting this stairwell door at 8:23 p.m., then stalking down the hallway. 13 minutes later, the suspect reemerges in a foyer where Secret Service is dismantling the magnetometer after the dinner started. He disappears through a door, stripping off his trench coat. One prosecutor say he used to conceal these weapons on his body: a 12-gauge shotgun, handgun, knives, even pliers. A canine appears to spot him, but does not alert. 14 seconds later, Allen rushes out the same door, reemerging with a shotgun in hand. Within 3 seconds, he's reached the magnetometer. 1 second later, he opens fire on an officer. The officer fires back 5 times, but Allen is not hit. He falls forward while running out of the frame and is subdued by Secret Service.
Should this security perimeter have been larger?
I would not do anything different. You can't. Just the way it happened, the quickness, the speed, they reacted as quick as they can. It's the proactive that you want to be able to be successful at.
But some current and former Secret Service agents tell us that the agency may consider expanding its secure perimeter at the hotel should the dinner return to the Washington Hilton. As for the suspect, he's expected back in court a week from Monday. Tony?
Really interesting. Nicole, thank you very much. Still ahead on the broadcast, 2 dead students at the University of Florida, South Florida that is, and what the suspect allegedly asked an AI chatbot before the crime, and revealed names for the eaglets of Big Bear. A body found in Tampa Bay has been identified as the second missing student from the University of South Florida, according to the sheriff, who called their killings a monstrous crime and detailed why authorities believe one of their roommates is the killer. Here's CBS correspondent Christian Benavides.
More than 2 weeks after the alleged murders of 2 University of South Florida doctoral students, police today announced a positive identification of the second victim, Nahida Brishti. Her remains were discovered earlier this week by kayakers.
As one of our kayakers is fishing, his fishing line snags on a bag.
The body of Brishti's friend and fellow student, Jamil Limon, was discovered bound with duct tape on the side of a highway 1 week ago. Hisham Abu Garbi, Limon's roommate, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
The details of this investigation are gruesome.
The sheriff also provided information on how the suspect used ChatGPT in the days before the killings.
Can a knife penetrate a skull? Can a neighbor hear a gunshot? These searches were conducted days before our 2 victims went missing.
The sheriff was asked if ChatGPT should inform law enforcement of suspicious search histories.
Absolutely.
And now, are we seeing a pattern emerge of people who are committing crimes and using artificial intelligence as a resource?
Criminals, just like everyone else, are depending more and more on artificial intelligence. In the end, it's a computer, and it doesn't have the ability to discern between a benign question and one that has a more nefarious motive.
OpenAI, the developer of ChatGPT, told us that they're working to support law enforcement in their investigation. Meantime, the victim's family said that Limon and the suspect only knew each other for about 2 months prior to this incident. Tony, the university is holding a vigil for both victims today.
Christian, thank you very much. Up next, a familiar face to our viewers. 5-year-old Commander Jack meets his heroes, what the crew of Artemis II did to surprise him. We're back with a big reveal, the names of Jackie and Shadow's new eaglets. Sandy and Luna are the names selected by third graders in Big Bear Valley, California, where the Eagles live. Sandy is a nod to the late Sandy Steers, who launched the Big Bear Eagle Cam so many now enjoy. It was a big day here at the CBS Broadcast Center as the Artemis II astronauts popped by, and after taking our questions, they had something to give to someone you might recognize.
I will see the rocket launch into space because I'm so obsessed with space.
We met 5-year-old Jack in the minutes before launch, in from Georgia and with his family there among the crowds waiting for liftoff and the mission around the moon.
It'll be totally exciting.
I love that you're obsessed with it. I love your spacesuit.
But that white spacesuit of his got a little scuffed up that day, so...
How was it in Florida watching that launch in person?
It was fun.
We invited Jack to join us as we welcomed the crew of Artemis II.
I was wondering if you would like to have a spacesuit that matches the one that we wore on Orion.
And we surprised him with a new spacesuit that got the details exactly right.
It says NASA.
It does. It says NASA just like that one. We would like to have you on our team. What do you think?
And one more reason to be, as his parents put it, obsessed with space. And Jack actually got 2 suits, one autographed by all the astronauts and one without the signature. So one for play, one for display. And Jack's mom thanked the astronauts for their inspiring example, not only for Jack, but for the space kid in all of us. Up next, Steve Hartman on the road with a cattle rancher who didn't ask for help when he thought he'd lost everything, but help came anyway. Thank you, Steve. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. For all of us at CBS News, thank you for watching this week. We'll see you right back here Monday. Good night.